Oh, you didn't know? Well, you probably should have called somebody. Welcome back, everybody, to Vidane TV Liberty Racing League, kicking off the playoffs. Little knockout, drag-out fight, 3-4 races, kicking the four slowest guys out of the playoffs after each and every single race. And that very last race that we're going to be watching right here on Vidane TV, the winner, the highest finishing of the last remaining four drivers, going to get that championship belt. Taking a peek at the qualified playoff drivers, 16 of them there on your screen, and we're going to be calling all the action right here on Vidane TV Showtime. Paul Strickland Jr. in the hizzy alongside Dr. Race Chaser himself, Kyle Young. Kyle, how we feeling tonight, man?
Paul, I'm excited. I am ready for action. This is the point of the season that all of us have been waiting for in the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Series. It is playoff time. Every single playoff driver throughout these four races is on the hot seat. All 16 of them come into this race dead even on points. If you mess up, if you do not perform to your best, you are out. You will be eliminated. It is going to be crucial to be mistake-free in every single aspect, race long, all month long, as you are racing for this championship. I'm telling you, Paul, I am genuinely excited to see how this is going to play out. We were just talking before we went live. This is going to be mega intense. When we're talking the playoff system in real life NASCAR, we're talking playoff points and stage points. There is none of that. As I said, everybody is even. Nobody is safe. This is going to be a true white-knuckle brawl to this championship.
Now, these race cars don't have keys, but we do have some keys to the race here. Taking a look at them on your screen there. Baloo not able to make the field here tonight. Had some stuff going on, so that is going to put Matt Swope into that 16th place position. He's going to be in and racing for that championship. Listening in to some of the drivers during practice earlier on here tonight, very, very loose on corner exit. Going to be something to keep in mind throughout this one. 4 drivers eliminated after each and every single race until we get to that last race. We made mention earlier, 4 drivers going for that championship belt. And one of the 16 drivers in the playoffs qualified in, not in the field here tonight. Nathan Brown not going to make it in here tonight. So that's good news for the rest of the drivers. That's going to be a quick elimination, taking 3 more out of the field here. So that's going to be kind of a little bit of a breather for some of these drivers. But man, oh man, it is going to be an absolute barn burner here at Daytona. Let's take a look at the qualifying results here. And there you can see on the timing and score, or on the starting lineup there at the end of each driver's name, there's going to be a 16. That means they're in the playoff 16. And how about these 2 playoff drivers up towards the front? Jason Foskey taking the number 3 car to the top with a 46.255. Taylor Lasowski right outside of him. The big Lasowski in the 83 car. A little bit late to the field here tonight, but he's going to be in the show, and he's going to be starting P2.
He got the word earlier today that he will race for a championship. That is Matt Swope. He is going to line up on the inside of row number 2, and his dancing partner there is going to be the number 5 machine of Michael Carpenter, the regular season champion. A lot of momentum inside the cockpit of that number 5 car. Going to be fun to see if he can translate that into a playoff run here tonight.
The cream always rising to the top. Freddie Dirtstock going to start P5. Jarrett Bolliard, former Vidane Racing champion. He's got one of those championship belts over his shoulder. That 97 car starting P6.
David Watts going to roll off the field in position number 7. He is a non-playoff driver this season. And Mark Mann, a multi-time winner in this series so far, looking to find some playoff success and go back to victory lane. He will do so from the 8th place starting position.
David Overstreet and Bobby Anderson going to round out the top 10. You can see the lights are already off atop the iRacing pace truck. And these drivers lined up 2 by 2 by 2. All the way through the field. You can see Jax Duval back in 11th. Rick Sebrin's in the Yeti machine. A playoff driver going to be in 12th. As you can see the rest of the starting lineup go down through your screen. Leon Keniston in the playoffs there. Nick McClelland in as well. Kevin West back in 15th. TJ Floyd, last week's winner 2 weeks ago here on Vidane TV. Talk about cutting it close, winning the last race in before the playoffs, making sure you're ready to rock and or roll here with 29 drivers on the field, 16 drivers going for a championship. Man, oh man, this is going to be exciting, Kyle.
It sure is, and the excitement is about to begin. The pace truck will hit pit road. Barney the Flagger has the green flag in the air, and we are officially playoff racing here in the the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Series. I'm throwing it back to you guys. This used to be the Vidane Super Speedway Series, but now it's on Vidane TV, and we are thundering into turn number 1. Taylor Laskowski grabs the race lead, but here comes Michael Carpenter down on the inside. Laskowski jumped up to the top to try to get a push from Jarrett Bolliard. Foskey, the pole sitter, back behind Michael Carpenter, and that outside line is going to prevail as they race down the Daytona Super Stretch for the first time.
We saw these drivers working together very, very well here in the final practice at Daytona, getting things lined up for this playoff race, the very first playoff race of this season. How about that cow car up on the top side, getting all herded up there? Bobby Anderson, new colors, championship colors for that number 18 car, trying to make a little magic happen up on that high side. You can see those Warrior cars up there as well.
Lap number 1 goes in the books. It is led by Taylor Laskowski. Now, that is important because we do reward bonus points here throughout are going to be important when it comes to the championship. Essentially, it's going to be the bottom 3 drivers that get eliminated tonight, but those bonus points for laps led, depending on how things work out throughout this race, they could be very crucial, and it's a good start to the race for Laskowski to get his bonus point early, and now Jarrett Bolliard going to lead the outside line. He's going to try to do the same thing here on lap number 2.
You can see everybody throughout the field lined up 2 by 2 as we go on, coming out of the corners. Everybody snaking away, snaking through the corners. We heard loose off is going to be something we're going to be hearing a lot, especially as the tires get a little bit more worn out, the fuel loads start to burn out, and we get a little pit stop action here later on this evening. 80 laps on the docket here at Daytona. bshow.info giving us the title sponsorship throughout the season and into the playoffs. Going to be a lot of fun watching these drivers duke it out here, and you can already see some shots being exchanged, going high, going low, trying to figure out which line is faster, doing a little bit of homework throughout the field for the rest of this race.
And there's going to be a lot of homework being done here tonight, Paul, because we had a build update earlier this afternoon. And for those of you unfamiliar with the iRacing platform, a build update is one of iRacing's 4 major updates throughout the year. They run their season, 4 12-week seasons, then a week 13 to implement a build, refresh the service, bring in some new content, make some changes. Today was that day for 2023 Season 2, and there were changes made to these Cup cars. They changed some drafting parameters with these cars. So this is a big experiment right now, having these guys for the first time packed up together as an entire field, doing some drafting, figuring out, can we bump draft? What's the side draft going to be like? Which lane is going to be better? How can we race side by side with each other? So a lot of note-taking being done right now. These guys trying to figure things out, seeing if those changes made any big impact on the racing that we are going to see tonight, and hopefully use it to their advantage when it comes down to the checkered flag.
And just taking a look at the top 10 right now, Kyle, 9 drivers, 9 of the top 10. Matter of fact, the top 9 drivers all in the playoffs here coming up towards the end of the season. This is going to be intense. You want to have yourself a good run. Top 10 is okay. Top 5 is better, but you want to get in the habit of finishing as absolute best you can. Yeah, tonight, a little bit kind of lenient. 16 drivers going for 12 spots. One of the drivers not in the field here tonight, so you really only have to be faster and gain more bonus points than 3 other drivers in the field. Not too bad of an order, but as we go on, you made mention, Kyle, next week, it's going to be 12 drivers, and again, we're yanking the bottom 4 to get into the round of 8, and then the final round of 4. We don't have multiple races for each one of these rounds. It's 1 race per round. These drivers go, go, go.
It's an absolute sudden death playoff, and you make a great point. Yes, you want to advance, obviously, because everybody wants to be the champion. But the cost at advancing is that it becomes harder for the next race. As you said, next week we'll go into it with 12 playoff drivers only looking for the best 8. We'll then go into an 8-round playoff looking for the championship 4, and then you have to be the best. So it is very, very challenging. And of course, you have the uncertainty with super speedway racing to go along with it. Just because you're having a good race doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a good finish. Not everything is in your own control throughout this playoff. So that's just another element to make this more dramatic and more intense. We talk about all the time in real NASCAR how that wild card race at Talladega, the wild card race at the Charlotte Roval, are so detrimental to these drivers, and it makes them quiver in their boots trying to get through it. These guys have to go through that every single week over the next 4 weeks. There is no room to breathe. It is going to be a very challenging playoff to win.
And one of the things I really want to keep an eye on are those Warrior Motorsports cars. There are a bunch of them in the field. 5, 6 drivers all rocking that logo, working together. They've got a couple of drivers in the championship with Carpenter and Matt Swope making the late addition after 2 weeks ago, finding out that Ballou wasn't going to be able to make the race here tonight. So that's going to be big. There's going to be a lot of teamwork here, I think, with this championship. You'll be able to see a lot of drafting between some of these teams. The NT04 guys always working together very, very well here on these super speedways as well. So I think we're going to see, it's almost not, there's not a tag team belt, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot of tag team action here over the next couple of weeks.
Well, we talk about it all the time with super speedway racing. You have to have friends, you have to have drafting help, and depending on how the playoffs works out over these next few weeks, it's going to be really interesting to see that team element come into play. I paid attention to Wes's drivers meeting earlier tonight. He wants the non-playoff drivers to race hard. They have extra money on the line if they can win these playoff races. They still have other points positions to race for. They still have just the will to win. They have reasons to race, and Wes wants them to race, but it's also important to be mindful of the drivers that are racing for a championship, not to do anything crazy, not to do anything stupid, and put their championship hopes in jeopardy just because a non-playoff driver is trying to win. So as we progress, and maybe we see half of the NT04 team get eliminated, half of the Warrior Motorsports team get eliminated, how are those eliminated drivers going to help the guys that are still in it try to win this championship? It's going to be very interesting to see how that element plays into it once we get through maybe the first race or two.
Working lap number 9 as we come out of turn number 4, crossing the stripe here for lap number 10. Clean and green so far all evening long here at Daytona, the very first of the knockout qualifying rounds here in the playoffs for the Liberty Racing League. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the booth alongside Dr. Race Chaser Kyle Young, calling the action here live, and we are live indeed all over the internet. We're taking over in 2023. We're over on the YouTube, we're over on the Facebook, we're over on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're all over the heckin' place. Be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, all that good stuff. Let your friends and family know you're watching a little bit of iRacing action here on Vidane TV. And we made mention getting close to the championship night here in Liberty Racing League. Going to open up some Tuesday nights here for us at Vidane TV. And, well, the RBR Maritime Group on Wednesday nights, they've got 2 races left until their championship season. And, well, NEP on Thursday nights, they're 3-4 races away from their championship. Kyle, what are we going to do? iRacing, we're going to have to maybe set the subscription on the back burner, and we're going to have to do some real racing, and we got some cool stuff going on heading into the 2023 season. You've got some amazing stuff going on with Dr. Race Chaser. We've talked about it on past shows here, all over Twitter, all over Facebook. You're 30 races into the year here so far in the 2023 season, which is absolutely astounding to me. I don't think I've been to 30 races in my lifetime, let alone 3 months. But going to be a lot of things going on between Vidane TV and Dr. Race Chaser, working together just a little bit on the new. Not even announced yet, Vidane.tv, looking to add some real racing content for all the Vidane TV fans out there to try and keep up with some of the celebrities, so to speak, you'd see here on Vidane TV, on the iRacing service, what they might be doing in the real racing world. And Kyle, we've been clean and green so far here for 12 laps. I think we got a minute or two. What's going on with Dr. Race Chaser so far this year?
So far, it has been a wonderful year. I'm excited that I've been able to support this series with some sponsorship throughout the last month or so, and it excites me now that I get to be in the booth and kind of be my own spokesperson for what's going on. As you said, yes, closing in on 30 races. The exact number is 28 so far attended in 2023. Spent almost 4 weeks down in Florida for Daytona Speed Weeks, all kinds of dirt racing at Volusia, at East Bay, a little bit of Bubba sprinkled in there. Got to watch a Supercross race at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium. It's been wonderful. For anybody that has the racing addiction as bad as I do, you get it, you understand it. It just, there's nothing better than being at the racetrack. And the Dr. Race Chaser pages is just a way for me to share my passion for the motorsports world, share my journey on the road. I travel just about all over the country. I haven't made it too far out to the Midwest or to the West yet, but that'll come at some point. A lot of my travels on the eastern portion of the United States, but just a way for me to share my journey and to try to encourage people to get to the racetrack, especially in this day and age where there's a lot of streaming. There's a lot of tracks that are worried about their success with streaming. And we're seeing some tracks close. Not too far away from me, Greenville Pickens Speedway, a legendary short track, is in trouble right now and may not race if they don't find somebody to take up that property. So I want to try to be a voice for people to support your local racetrack, whether it's dirt, pavement, it's a quarter mile, a half mile, whatever. Get to your local racetrack, support it, have fun, and who knows, you might find something that you really, really like and create a weekly tradition out of it.
And you'll be able to check that out, the new home over at the brand new Vidane.tv. And we're still looking for some content creators for the new Vidane website. You can check it out now. Not 100% complete yet, so don't send us any bug reports just yet. It's a work in progress. Perfection takes time, and that's what we're after here at Vidane TV. But still looking for anybody interested in doing any kind of write-up stories, race recaps. If you go to the racetrack each and every week as a driver or a crew chief or even somebody, a fan, a photographer, anything like that. If you're at the racetrack, we really want to see your perspective and get it out there and really try to get some more folks out to the short tracks across America and up in Canada. And I think that would be kind of cool, Kyle. You and I haven't actually met in person yet, and the guys up there in Newfoundland and Halifax, Nova Scotia, and all the Maritimes up in Canada. They want me to get up on their boat and go do some racing up there. So maybe that's what we do—a little Vidane TV pilgrimage. We can have Wes pick us up in the Lambo or whatever he's driving now.
Well, I hate to make you jealous. One thing I did leave out for my travels in my Florida racecation, I did get to meet up with the legendary Tim Terry at the Auburndale Speedway a few weeks ago. So that was pretty cool to see Tim again. Tim has been a big supporter of us here on Vidane TV, both in the announcer's booth. We put on a lot of his special races that go on over the winter months with his drivers. And his group of people are kind of what we're after. A lot of these real life racers that do sim racing in the wintertime. A lot of our fans, they get familiar with some of the names and the faces that are on these Vidane TV shows. There's more to these guys than just the online sim racing stuff. A lot of these guys do race short tracks up north in Canada. You talk about the NEP guys. A lot of them race at your home track of Stafford Motor Speedway. So we're trying to come up with an idea to get these guys, give these guys a platform to showcase their real racing exports. And for all of the Vidane TV fans out there that see these guys in the sim racing world, give them an opportunity to check in and what's going on with them in the real race tracks.
100%. That's what we're after at Vidane TV, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Got a couple of groups kind of signed on so far here. Rent a Race Car going to be jumping on board with weekly updates, and we're going to be on the quarter panel of the number 6 Rent a Race Car Street Stock at Stafford Motor Speedway once again this year, and yours truly going to be piling in that bad boy later on this year, July 14th. I'll be in the Street Stock race in that number 6 car. That's the night after the SRX Series debut at Stafford Motor Speedway. That place is going to be electric. 10,000 seats in Stafford Motor Speedway, not a one of them being used, and man, the energy, it's like a NASCAR Cup race showing up at your local short track. It's a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being behind the car. And then that Saturday, Sunday, shipping on up to Loudon. Going to be doing some camping out up there at the racetrack. Little tour mods action Saturday, and then the Xfinity and Cup Series racing. So, Kyle, that's like 6 or 7 races right in a weekend. I think I already booked that week of travel for you.
Well, it has been a few years since I've been up to the Northeast for New Hampshire. I used to go up there with a high school friend of mine that moved out there shortly after we graduated. Went there for 5 or 6 years in a row. New Hampshire's a great racetrack. It's so much fun. It's really become a driver's racetrack in the NASCAR world, and now it's just getting better. That NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour race is a cannot miss race during that weekend. The Xfinity Series puts on a great program just about anywhere that they go, and the Cup Series is going through improvements to make those flatter, shorter racetracks a little bit more entertaining. We've seen some great races at New Hampshire in the past. Hopefully that this aero change that NASCAR made will continue to make those races good and exciting, and New Hampshire can be one of them. It's very flat, good racing lanes throughout that racetrack. Typically, when you have stock cars racing on a flat oval like that, you really need the banking to produce different lines. That's not the case with New Hampshire. These guys can move all over the place and really find a lot of entertainment, and some great short tracks up in that area too. I know they have a dirt track on property. Of course, we've been talking about Stafford Motor Speedway. There's Seekonk, all kinds of different short asphalt racetracks that are in that area. It's a very tour modified heavy type area, and those race fans are insanely passionate when it comes to their modifieds. They travel well for the wheel and tour modified races that are not in that general vicinity. Just hardy race fans, the type of race fans that I love to be around.
Yeah, and we definitely like to party hardy at Stafford Motor Speedway, if you know what I mean. How about these guys? One hell of a party we're having here at Daytona. Looking like 28 drivers still out on track, 27 of them on the lead lap. Looks like everybody's still up in this lead pack. Still a lot of side-by-side racing here. Taking a peek at that timing and scoring tower. Top 10 drivers all in the playoffs. Wes Hogue just moving himself up into 11th. Rob Collier back in 13th. Jax Duvall, Kevin West back in 18th and 19th. And Leon Keniston all the way back in 22nd in that 933 machine. So about a quarter of the way through this one, working a lap number 22. Shout out to Gary Spinato Jr., owner of Renner Race Cars. Hashtag SaveUs22. Great to see his boy in a race car this year. Alex, the son of a race car driver. Third generation race car driver. Going to be a lot of fun to race against him this year at Stafford Motor Speedway after watching him grow up. And man, it just makes me feel old, and I think that's just because I am.
You said it, not me. I don't have to be blackballed for calling you old.
Take a peek at Carpenter, though, up in the 5-car, leading that outside line. And we made mention talking about the teams working together here. There's 3 Warrior Motorsports cars, 4 of them up in the top of that line. The Big Lasowski up there in the 83 car. What were his teammates calling him earlier on in the garage area? The turning point of the team?
If so, he's definitely proving it, being the guy leading out that outside line, trying to do what they can. And, well, now as soon as I say that, we get a little bit more competition up on the top. That's Mark Mann and Rick Seabrands. Those two really tight bump draft down the back straightaway, and there's some separation there between Bobby Anderson and Jason Foskey, and you can see that drafting push is going to propel them to the front of the field for the first time. Mark Mann in the 04 going to get out front. A beautiful push by Rick Seabrands to get those two in, and now we're going to see some pit stops. Jason Foskey, Bobby Anderson coming down to pit road, lap number 23 for the first time here tonight. Fairly good green flag run there, Paul. I don't necessarily know exactly what the strategy is going to be here. Oh, and we got trouble. Cars are in the wall at the exit of the tri-oval. Caution flag flies for the first time tonight. That is the 44 machine of Anthony English. He is involved with Kevin West, one of our playoff drivers. The number 17 machine, Kevin West, involved. A minor incident, but it could be a big one for the playoff hopes of one of our strongest competitors, Paul.
Yeah, you never really want to get into a points battle if you're having a war of attrition, and that's always something that you want to try to avoid. We'll take a look at the U-House Racing Designs instant replay here from the blimp, and you can see the action. Couple drivers peeling off. You see Foskey in the 18 of Anderson going down, and this is the point of the race where we're seeing a lot of teams trying to get together because they know they got pit stops coming up. You can see 38-83 trying to get together and work together. They got bumper to bumper, and then in behind them, you see the 44 of English just getting caught up. West got a big piece of the action there on that 17 car. We'll see if he can come down pit road and get a little bit of damage worked on that one. You can see the 44 back running once again. A little bit of damage on that ride, but still back at it. And this is going to be an opportunity for these drivers to come down pit road and get that quick fuel and get that quick tires.
I kind of feel like this is going to work out very well in the hands of Bobby Anderson and Jason Foskey coming get down onto pit road before that caution flag flies. If we were getting ready to cycle through with green flag pit stops, those guys are not going to have to pit under this caution flag, and they should be able to cycle back up to the front of the field. But we'll wait to see exactly for sure what is going to happen before we make complete do of that. Also worth mentioning here that the rules staying the same for these drivers as they have during the regular season. They do have one fast repair to use at their expense. Now, being prior to the halfway mark of this race, probably not the time that you want to use your fast repair, but you really have to think about this. If the car is too severely damaged and it's going to have an issue drafting, maybe it's worth taking that because you never really know if this is going to turn out to be a long green flag run race or if we're going to have some more issues. So Kevin West and Anthony English, they got some things to think about here as the entire field does exactly what I was thinking they would do. They're coming down onto pit road. I see a bit of a mistake out of the 38 machine of Wes Hogue. He overshoots his box. He's going to be a little bit behind, so that's going to put him towards the end of the field. Mark Mann going to win the race off of pit road. Rick Seabrands in second. We got a few more cars starting to pull their way off and get back onto the racetrack. I see some guys with the right sides up. Not sure if anybody really took 4 tires or not, but we got a little bit of difference in fuel strategy here as they're coming, or pit strategy, as they're coming off of pit road. And we'll see how they will line up here in just a moment. But can tell you for sure, Mark Mann in the 0-4 took the lead just before that caution flag. He will win the race off of pit road and should be close to the front of the field by the time we restart this thing here in just a moment.
Man, Seabrans, Floyd, McClellan, and Mayer, the top 5 as they run. Mayer in that 95 car, biggest mover of the race so far, gaining 17 spots from where he qualified. Elliott Swope up 13 spots, running in 10th. About TJ Floyd, pardon me, on the podium right now. He's gained 14 spots from earlier on. So some drivers making some forward progress here in this one. Differing pit strategies here under caution, and what this does is it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the latter part of this race because these drivers, a couple of them were able to come down under green. Foskey in the 3 car, one of those drivers able to come down, kind of practice the green flag pit stop, which we didn't really see too much of on during the final practice. Everybody else coming down under caution, so that's going to be something to really keep an eye on here later on in the race if we do get one of these long green flag runs and these drivers end up having to come down under green flag.
Yeah, without a doubt. You typically don't want to think about fuel strategy and pit strategy when it comes to a super speedway race, but they do happen at times. And I can tell you from experience, it's not very fun trying to save fuel in a big pack of race cars and making sure that you can get yourself to the end of the race. So definitely something that we'll have to keep our eyes on. It certainly is going to have the biggest impact as far as the number of cautions that we have to really get a good gauge on that. But early on, it is just an element of the sport here that we're trying to make mention and keep focused on throughout the progression of this race. Looking through towards the rear of the field here, I see we have a handful of drivers that are off of the lead lap. I don't know exactly which one would have been eligible for the free pass, if anybody was, but I can see Donovan Gerald just outside the top 20. He is a lap down. One of our playoff drivers, Leon Keniston, is a lap down. Darren Mack, Don Ashton, Michael Rogers, and Randall Carr, all 1 lap down. Dan Withers is 2 laps down, and David Overstreet in the 46 machine, he is 5 laps down. I don't know if he is out of the race or not, or if he is just with some type of issue, but he is the last car running in 28th place as it appears here. Paul, are we going green here this upcoming time? We are doubled up, but I think the lights are off on the pace truck. We're getting ready to go back to action.
Ready to rock and or roll once again here at Daytona, getting ready to cross the stripe and take lap number 28. There goes the pace truck down onto the safety of pit road. Going to grab my corn dog and a Coke, and we're going to wait for Barney in the flag stand to say, go, go, go. Green flag flies once again. How about this story we've seen multiple times throughout the season? The 04 and the 4 up towards the front. Mark Mann leads him to the green. Rick Seabrans leads that outside line.
Really tight drafting help down on the bottom side. TJ Floyd is in third. He is all over the back bumper of Mark Mann. James Mayer not too far off as well. And that number 95 machine, the outside line, has quickly lost the majority of its help. It is just Seabrans and Nick McClellan up there. Nobody else behind McClellan. They are going to start to fade away. Now the 42. Oh, here comes Seabrans. He gets a big help from Mark Mann. Mann lets him in. He remembered that shove that he got to get up there, and he's going to cut Seabrans a break, get him out in front. That's going to leave Nick McClellan to fend on his own. He drops back to the 42 machine of Elliott Swope, who finally now starting to develop an outside line with those Warrior Motorsports cars like you mentioned earlier, Paul.
Yeah, you see the 60, I believe that's a 67 car up on the high side going another lap down there. Going to break up the high side just a little bit, kind of knock that momentum down. But you can see there's 5, 6 cars up there getting ready to kind of work together, and you'll notice on the hoods, they're all rocking the same logo, and a lot of those Warrior Motorsports drivers, really impressive with their drafting throughout this past season, the past few months here in Liberty Racing League. Most improved team by far, and we've heard that from multiple different people throughout, including Wes Hogue, who's owner of the league, one of the lead admins here at Liberty Racing League. So they're going to be something to really bargain with here at the end of this race. They're running up on the high side right now, kind of dropping back just a little bit, but we've seen that a little bit late into these runs, as everything kind of starts to wear off just a little bit, racing really starts to pick up. We saw that just before that caution flag came out there as we were going through with green flag pit stop. So 50 laps to go in this one, 30 of them already in the books, and man, I'm looking forward to it.
Closing in on that halfway mark, as you mentioned, pretty calm off of this restart. We just had a bit of a minor incident there. Everybody's kind of reminded of the risks of super speedway racing here, so they're kind of getting themselves into a rhythm, trying to settle in a little bit. They still have a long way to go, a lot of time to make things happen here. And right off of this restart, we've got the field kind of split up a bit. We got this lead pack of cars, looks to be about 9 or 10 of them, and then you drop back and there's a couple more cars that are straggling just off of that, and then a bigger pack in the second half of the field as well. So a bit of a wonky restart there, kind of split the field up just a little bit. They're going to try to reorganize themselves and get back rocking and rolling here so they can keep themselves in contention. Whoa, we got trouble off of turn number 2. A couple cars are spinning and they are into the outside wall. The 46 was one of them. Bobby Anderson's 18 machine, also one of them. No caution flag as of yet. They kept it straight, so I don't believe we are going to get a yellow flag. This could be huge because the 18 of Anderson is a playoff driver. David Overstreet in the 46, he was the driver that we mentioned 5 laps down, threading the needle through playoff drivers, and he causes a big mistake.
Yeah, you can see a handful of the playoff drivers getting some damage up in that one, and you made mention clean and green all the way through. Still green here as we work lap number 32, and there's a handful of drivers that are now down outside of the top 10, top 15, still racing for these playoffs. Bobby Anderson going to lose a lap. He's going to come down pit road and get some work done on that 18 car, maybe even get a quick repair. That is detrimental to your championship hopes.
I mentioned it earlier, Paul, in the drivers' meeting. Wes wanted these guys to be able to race, but they didn't want them to put any playoff drivers in jeopardy, and that's exactly what David Overstreet just did. He is dead last in this race, 5 laps down, slicing through the middle 3 wide with playoff drivers on his inside and outside, and he puts one of them into the outside wall. So this is not good at all for Bobby Anderson. May not end up being very good for David Overstreet either. We'll wait to see what happens there, but yeah, Bobby Anderson is in a big predicament. He is coming off of pit road now. I'm assuming he used that fast repair, but he is off of the lead lap. 1 lap down, and looking at it as he's coming back onto the surface, he may be able to catch a draft here with Kevin West, who minorly was involved in that. I think the 44 of Anthony English is right behind him. No, that's Leon Keniston. So he may be able to join this pack of 3 here and have some drafting help, but still not a good place for Bobby Anderson to be right now.
Yeah, and still has to race his way back around a handful of drivers to even get in position for the lucky dog. Leon Keniston right in front of him, and he's still got a ways to go. He does have a little bit of hope with Nathan Brown not making the field here tonight, so he's going to be one of the 4 drivers eliminated from the playoffs, and essentially at this point we're going to be taking the bottom 3 in the field, and as they run right now, that's Bobby Anderson, Leon Keniston, and Rowdy Wesley Hogue in that 38 car, currently 19th, last car on the lead lap.
So now that has kind of settled itself in, we can say for sure that our lead pack is 10 cars. Taylor Laskowski in the 83 machine, he is leading the second pack with Jarrett Bolliard, Frederick Durstock, David Watts. That pack appears to be 6 cars or so running around well, actually, no, I think they may have a few lapped cars in there as well. So they've got a string of cars down on the bottom side of this racetrack, trying to stay in line, trying to work together. Looks like they got about 9 of them there to try to run down the race leaders. They're about 5 seconds behind the 12 machine of Nick McClellan, who is the last car in that lead group. So we'll have to play and keep an eye on those intervals to see if they're able to reel them in or not. Handful of playoff drivers in that second pack with Laskowski and Bolliard. Rob Collier is in there. We talked about all the success that Rob Collier has had this season. Multiple wins, in contention for a handful more. What a disappointment that would be for Rob Collier to get eliminated right off the bat in these playoffs.
Yeah, you can see that front pack starting to get a little double file once again, a little bit strung out here. And you can see that second pack really lined up. And you made mention, Kyle, 9, 10 cars in a pack, in a straight line. And it looks like they're closing a little bit per lap here. You got to figure some of those cars have to have some damage getting involved in that wreck that we didn't see the caution for. You can see it seems like they're a bit more put together than this front pack here, and as we say that, it almost looks like the front pack going to try and organize a little bit more. It's always cool to see which drivers you kind of catch watching the broadcast here from inside the car on Verdane TV.
I know that's something I used to do anytime I was racing with a broadcast, especially now with a dual monitor setup. You put you're racing on one screen, the broadcast on the other, kind of see what's going on around you that you may not be realizing, kind of hear what the announcers are saying about you too. So you got any anything to gripe back at them at? So definitely an interesting element to it. You would think that you would want to focus completely on the racing, but in some sense, maybe pulling up the broadcast is extra information for you to be able to learn what is going on during this race. Checking the intervals that first time by there for the 2 groups, and Laskowski has closed to less than 5 seconds, so whatever they're doing, it's starting to work a little bit. They're working their way through turns 3 and 4 right now. We'll see what the gap is when they hit the start-finish line this time by, and see if they are able to reel in a little bit more. The lead pack goes across now. Sean Colvin 1 second off of the race lead. Taylor Laskowski, he gained 0.2 of a second on the race leader. So he is now exactly 4 seconds behind the 91 machine of Sean Colvin. That second group doing exactly what they need to do, working together and trying to reel in that front pack ahead.
And getting that quick onboard shot, you can see that that little dot getting a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Blood in the water potentially for the 83 cars. Now he's got himself a goal in the windshield, able to potentially catch back up and maybe get up around these leaders here and lead this race. Just getting up to halfway here at this point, working a lap number 39 as the leaders cross the stripe. Leader going to be that 5 car, Warrior Motorsports, sliding on up, taking over pretty much the entire top 5. Carpenter swope up in the top 3.
Whoa, we got trouble now. The 42, he just checked up, and we got cars in the wall. The 82 is in the wall. Rick Sebran's in the 4 into the outside wall. Mark Mann is also there. I have no idea what happened, Paul. The 42. Oh, and we got cars piling in. The 44 of Anthony English and the 46 of David Overstreet annihilate the 4 machine of Rick Sebrans and the 82 car of Matt Swope. Wow. That happened out of nowhere. I have no clue what happened to the 42 of Elliott Swope. That car checked up out of nowhere, and it caused a stack up that took out one of his teammates and a handful of others.
Yeah, lots of cars involved in this one. Going to back up the U-House Racing Design Instant Replay and spend a little bit of time looking at this one. Multiple incidents throughout the field here, and we've been talking about those Warrior Motorsports drivers really working very well together here throughout the season with the draft, with the different setups, and really getting the chemistry to work on the racetrack. But the pressure is on here in the playoffs here. You've got some of your teammates up battling for that championship, and you take a peek at it here. The second place car all over the back bumper. Everything looks A-okay, kind of checks up just a little bit, but almost seems like he checks up too much there in the corner. Something had to have broken on that car, and you can see just sliding on back throughout the field. The 84 car able to get by. Everything looking good there, but then you made mention the 44 car having some issues. Sebrins all over in the outside safer barrier there. So lots of damaged cars throughout the field here. Lots of playoffs drivers getting involved in this one as well.
Yeah, this is not good at all. Matt Swope, the 82 machine playoff driver, 4 machine of Rick Sebrand's. That is a playoff driver. Mark Mann was minorly involved. That's a playoff driver. It's a good break for those guys in that second pack. Now they don't have to worry about all of that work that they were trying to do to get themselves through. You see TJ Floyd there. He got a little out of shape, maybe got a tiny little piece of one of the cars down the bottom side. But watch this second shot here. Anthony English and David Overstreet absolutely just piles in. I'm not going to put a ton of blame on Anthony English there. I actually looked back at it myself. He kind of got body checked from Don Ashton, and unfortunately those two cars were right there. But there is just absolutely no reason for David Overstreet to pile into the back of those guys. I can tell you that he has disconnected from this race, and say it however you want to, Paul. I'm just going to say it as it is. Probably a good thing, because that is 2 incidents right there that he should not have been involved in and having a major altering impact on some of these playoff guys. Not good at all, but David Overstreet retired from this race. He will finish in 28th place.
Yeah, definitely not a good look. You hate to see it, and it really involves a lot of drivers throughout this one. We've made mention throughout the entire night. Lots of different storylines going through this one. Drivers going for championships, drivers trying to stay in the playoffs, and other drivers trying to win a little bit of money and still win some races and kind of spoil the show here throughout the field. And when you've got a bad apple like that, sometimes it definitely puts a sour on the bunch. But everybody going to grab their belts, kind of pull them tight, shake the cobwebs out just a little bit. We're getting ready to start the second half here. You came down pit road, you got your tires, you got your fuel, and you got 39 laps to go, probably about 36 once we get the restart here at Daytona. So what's going through your mind now that we've got to kind of refocus here at the halfway point?
Well, seeing how this race has gone so far, I think it really depends on where you're at. If you're up at the front of the field, you got to be feeling pretty good. The racing's been fairly tame up through the field. Other than that minor incident there, I think there was something out of just the norm that caused that situation. But other than that, the racing's been pretty good. These cars seem to be doing a fairly good job of staying stable. We're seeing some movement out of them coming off the corners, but nothing too dangerous, too detrimental. Haven't really seen a lot of aggression yet either. I'm sure that is going to change as we continue to work our way through this one. But the big thing is going to be to really pay attention to that leaderboard. There have been a handful of playoff drivers that have had problems tonight. Rick Sebrand's is now 2 laps down. We have Leon Keniston still off of the lead lap. I think Bobby Anderson took the wave around, so he's going to be back on the lead lap. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, you only have to beat 3 guys in the playoffs, because Nathan Brown didn't show up. He's not going to advance. And with Rick Sebrand's and Leon Keniston off of the lead lap, makes things a little bit easier for these playoff guys. Maybe they can relax a little bit, but at the same time, it's Daytona, it's super speedway racing. You are never safe if you are out on the racetrack. So I think your situational awareness is going to be the biggest factor in the second half of this race. Don't do anything that is going to ruin your playoff hopes. Obviously, everybody wants to win. You want to finish as good as you can. There's money on the line, but ultimately, this is championship time. Do what you need to if things are not going your way, and make sure you advance to live to race next week.
And that's what's going through the drivers' minds right now. You want to advance. You want to do everything you can to survive, but you want to win races. You and I have talked to Wes almost every day throughout the season here as we work kind of behind the scenes together, getting ready to take the green flag. Wes wants to win. He's the founder of the league, founder of Liberty Racing, hasn't won a race yet this season. He's kind of pointed his way into the playoffs. Right now, he's got a little bit of a cushion in behind him as far as the playoffs go, being in the top 16 as they run. That's not enough. He wants to win a race. He wants to make sure that everybody knows that he's earned the spot in the playoffs, earned the spot to fight for that championship belt here at the end of the season. And that's on everybody's mind. That's everybody's mindset going into this one. As soon as they take that green flag, everybody wants to get out there and win.
Well, especially if you look at the front of this field. Michael Carpenter, regular season champion. Taylor Laskowski, he has a race win. Jared Bolliard, he is a winner. TJ Floyd, he is a winner. So you have race winners up at the front of the field. That only makes you want to win more, knowing that you're surrounded around drivers that have won. You're trying to compete with them for a championship. It definitely does something to your confidence, knowing that you're racing against guys with victories and you don't have one yourself. Now, Wes is a very good super speedway racer. He knows what he needs to do. It just, for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to make it click. Now is the time to make it click, and there's no better time to get that win than in the opening race of the playoffs. Reassure everybody that, yeah, I may have had a winless regular season, but I'm here to play, and you better watch out for me.
Getting that 38 machine down to the bottom, kind of still working that comfortable, almost mid-pack. Mid-pack in the field, mid-pack as far as the playoff drivers go. All the top 16 kind of peppered throughout the field. Duval, Lasowski, Mann, Carpenter, and Collier all in the playoffs in the top 5 right now. Bollier, Floyd, and McClellan, playoff drivers also in the top 10. West back here in 13th. He's got Kevin West right in behind him in the 17 car, the trailer park dude. He's one of the playoff drivers running in 14th. You've got Foskey right there in the number 3, still holding on to that playoff spot. Anderson back in 19th, just got the lucky dog. Matt Swope hearing the announcement earlier this week. He's going to make the playoffs because he finished 16th in there, and Bello's not able to make the field here. But right now, the bottom 3 as they run, Kyle Seabrans, Keniston, and...
We got trouble. Taylor Laskowski hooked into the outside wall. Cars are piling it up in turn number 3. The 54 is involved. Rick Seabrands in his second incident. The 82 trying to squirt his way by. All kinds of trouble in turn number 3. And once again, Paul, we have playoff drivers involved.
Yeah, there you see the 83 car hard in the outside wall. He's been in the top 5 almost all evening very quick in that 83 car. See if we can take another peek at that on the U-House Racing Design instant replay. And getting close to go time here. And you can see the 83 running second up in the bottom line. And everything looks good so far. But when they get into turn number 3 here, it's tough to see. It looks like there's just a little bit of a twitch up amongst the leaders, and you can see kind of an accordion effect throughout the field here.
Yeah, it was a bad bump draft up at the front of the field. I believe it was between Rob Collier and Mark Mann. That sent those guys a little sideways. TJ Floyd tried to go down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Wasn't clear of Jack's Duval crawl. Those two made contact. That checked up the 84. Taylor tried to check up in response, and Michael Carpenter was not able to do so in time, and he spins the 83 of Laskowski into the outside wall with a vicious hit. We kind of teased Taylor that he's the common denominator, typically an aggressive driver in this league, but that he was a complete victim in that situation. Not good at all. He'll have to burn up his fast repair and try to move on from this incident and do what he can to advance. I don't really know how you put a blame on that with anybody. I know that we have a race director in this one trying to keep things running smoothly, but it was just one bad bump, some guys moving all over the place to check up, and unfortunately the 83 Laskowski gets turned around.
A lot of give and take throughout this race, a lot less give now at this point, a lot more take, and a couple of drivers not taking tires, it looks like. How about Batman in the 04 car leading the race off pit road, the 49 car, the bshow.info Vidane TV ride, he comes off second. Carpenter in third, McClellan, Bollier top 5.
So most of these drivers coming back off of pit road onto the racing surface. Going to get them re-racked and restacked here for another green flag run. Taking a quick peek right now at the number 4 machine of Rick Seabrands, knowing for sure that he was one of the drivers involved in a previous incident. He's coming off of pit road, still showing some damage on that number 4 Yeti Ford Mustang. So assuming that he used his fast repair in that previous incident, that has gone away. Now he is left to do what he can to try to fend off the remainder of this race. He is still 2 laps down. He's got to make something happen here, Paul. He is in the danger zone, involved in multiple incidents. We know that his fast repair is gone off of the lead lap. Of course, being involved in a caution doesn't help your case at all get back onto the lead lap. So this is going to be a tough hill to climb for Rick Seabrands.
Yeah, as much as we pay attention to the top of the field, the top of the points and leaders, we want to pay attention to the bottoms as well. The bottom 3 right now as they run that 4-car, and Seabrands multiple laps down in 26. Leon Keniston having some troubles in the 933 throughout the field, and a couple of pit stops now. A couple of drivers coming down to pit road. Oh, that 38 car might have been a little bit hot coming in there, easing down. We'll see if that ends up being a penalty. Foskey down, Laskowski as well, going to top off fuel. It looks like getting close, going to get that restart with 31 to go. That might be stretching it for a tank of fuel here, but do you make that gamble?
Well, we saw during that opening green flag run that Jason Foskey and there was one other driver that came on to pit road with him. I can't remember who. They came down on lap number 23. So I don't know if they were coming down because they were close on their fuel run, or if they were maybe trying to play a little strategy, expecting the race to go green. But it's something to keep in the back of your mind here. We're a handful of laps over. I really don't think that if it's tight around 23 laps of a fuel run, I highly doubt they're going to be able to make it based off of that, but we shall see. We're starting to see things change a little bit with the pace of this race. It is definitely getting more aggressive, and it is getting a little bit more destructive as well. So these guys got to keep their heads in check here. There's a lot to race for. Still a lot of time left. 32 laps to go once we get the green flag, which we will this time by the way. So going to be interesting. Mark Mann, Michael Carpenter, your front row, Nick McClellan third, Jarrett Bolliard in fourth, and Rob Collier completing the top 5. This is going to be good, Paul. Oh boy, we're seeing a much different race now.
Top 5 drivers in the field right now in the playoffs. The last 5 drivers on the lead lap, also playoff drivers. This is going to be intense. 31 laps to go. Green flag flies. Mark Mann takes the restart. Michael Carpenter on the outside.
James Meyer moving all over the racetrack in his number 95 machine. He ducks down to help the 04 of Mark Mann. That's going to allow Michael Carpenter to clear into the race lead, and he is going to leave Jarrett Bolliard hanging with no help. Bolliard is going to fall back to position number 4. McClellan is going to quickly challenge him for that spot. The 20 is dropping back to the 84 of Jack Duval-Crawl, and we are going 3 wide for that position. That's a tight 3 wide and about 2 lanes worth of space. They're able to make it work. Kevin West down on the apron. Got to be careful there. You cannot pass below the double yellow line. I'm sure race director will look at that just to make sure. Still 3 wide on the outside there. I believe that was Anthony English. It was. He tucks in behind Jack Duval-Crawl. They'll go 2 wide now, and the top 5 cars have a slight little breakaway before that side-by-side battle with Kevin West and Duval-Crawl.
Just as soon as they get it all sorted out, they get 3 wide once again. Wes Hogan, the 38 car, stuck in the middle. Looks like he finally gets down on that bottom side. Someone told him there's only 30 laps to go. That 38 car trying to make it up towards the front, running 14th right now. But man, he is, it almost seems like he finally found that 5th gear.
And these cars do have 5 gears. It's something a little new in the NASCAR world compared to the Gen 6 machine. That outside line very quickly is dissipating. There's only 4 cars up there. The bottom is the place to be. Nick McClellan is leading it. He is trying to get some help from Rob Collier, Kevin West, TJ Floyd. Now Wes Hogue jumps up there trying to side draft Duval-Crawl. No, he's going to go to the inside line. So he kind of faked to the outside to get underneath of TJ Floyd to try to make some more positions up. Lap number 50 goes into the books. We are officially 30 laps remaining in this playoff opener for the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Series at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. 80 laps, 200 miles, 4 cars will be eliminated. We already know that 1 will be Nathan Brown. He did not show up tonight. So 3 more will be eliminated from this race that are currently on the racetrack or that have at least started this race. Who those 3 will be, well, we're still trying to figure that one out. Right now, we know for at least as they run, it's not going to be Michael Carpenter, your regular season champion, out in front. He's been good with the Warrior Motorsports teammates, doing what he needs to do. He is not afraid to race here tonight, Paul. He won the regular season championship. He wants to make a statement in the playoffs and let everybody know that it might be a fresh reset for everybody, but the championship still has to go through him.
Yeah, momentum big in the Super Speedway series here. Big fan of them. Run them. Used to run them all the time, and I was never very quick. Always had good strategy, always had good cars, but could never figure out how to transfer it into a good finish. And these guys here in the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Series, these guys know how to do some Super Speedway racing. And I've myself been back behind the wheel a little bit the past couple of weeks here in iRacing. Last week, making my return, ran the All-Star race here with the Liberty Racing crowd. Finished in 6th. How about that, Kyle? Where'd you finish?
I finished on the desk chair watching with a glass of water in my hand. What does that count for?
Counts as a win for me, I guess. Speaking of 6, you can see 6 cars up in that high line. Well, maybe that's 7 cars up in that high line, getting ready to rock and roll here. They know they're in the second half, getting close to that 4th quarter. They need to get that momentum going up on that high side. Momentum going to be big for the rest of this race and the rest of this season. You want to have good finishes. You want to make sure you're in the habit of finishing in front of all the drivers, because when it comes down to that playoff, that Final Four playoff race, you have to be the best finishing driver in order to get that championship belt. And right now, they're side by side, nose to nose, door handle to door handle, the 12 of McClellan, the 5 of Carpenter, leading them on down. And you can see McClellan going to slide up on the high side, get a little bit of an advantage, leads by half a car length at the line there. Ooh, Carhart in the outside wall.
Caution flag flies with 30 or 27 laps to go, and it looks like it's one of the Warrior Motorsports machines. It is the 54 car of David Watts. Heavy right front damage on that machine. We also see another car coming to a stop. We'll pull up the YRD Designs instant replay, and actually it's a combo of Warrior Motorsports cars that are involved in this one. So some teamwork gone wrong there between David Watts and the 7 machine of Frederick Durstock. We'll take another peek at it here, and it looks like maybe Durstock was trying to side draft to pull that 7 machine back, gets into the right rear corner panel, spins him around, and puts both cars into the outside wall. We were talking about teammate management earlier, Paul. Neither of those 2 drivers are in the playoffs, and obviously, as we know, there are other Warrior Motorsports drivers that are in the playoffs. They were at the back of the field, not really around any of their playoff teammates, but that certainly isn't going to help the playoff teammates advance through.
Yeah, and we've seen all throughout this season here, the Warrior Motorsports really giving us good examples of perfect textbook drafting, and, well, there was a really good example of how not to 2-car tango. You can't really do the nose-to-nose thing because there's no real forward momentum, and, well, there's no momentum at all, so you don't go anywhere. So unfortunate for those guys. Gives everybody else in the field an opportunity to come down pit road, get some tires, get some fuel, maybe make a couple of sheet metal adjustments. There's a lot of damage throughout the drivers in this field. Little bumper car action throughout the night, but relatively good racing all night long. And McClellan up in front in that 12 car. Carpenter, Collier, Mann, and West, the top 5 as they run.
Well, Paul, I was able to chit-chat with some of the drivers here before we got rocking and rolling, and he gave me the offer to chit-chat with him during the race today, so I think I'm going to take him up on that offer, and we're going to see if we can dial up the 83 machine of Taylor Laskowski here. Taylor, it's Kyle Young and Paul Strickland Jr. up in the booth. You got a copy, my man?
How's it going?
It's going pretty great for us up here in the booth. We're enjoying what we're seeing out here. A little bit of a dramatic race for you so far. Just recently got caught up in an incident. I'm sure the fast repair is gone. We're closing down on this thing, less than 30 laps to go. The racing is definitely getting more aggressive. Now that you've already been in a negative situation, how do you manage the rest of this race to make sure that you advance?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke about 6 toe links right there in that wreck when I got turned around by the 5. But at this point, I'm just trying to take it easy right now and see how it plays out here since I'm kind of in the back already. And then at this point, I'm really only trying to make it to the next round of the playoffs. And looks like we only had 15 people show up tonight, so already one's eliminated, and Rick's pretty banged up, a couple laps down. So I'm just trying to beat 2 people here.
We've definitely seen a lot of teamwork going on throughout this race. Of course, you part of the very healthy NTO4 racing group, which all of you guys are playoff drivers. So what's the management like there? Obviously, you need help. You need drafting partners on a super speedway race. But at the same time, your drafting partners are also your competition for the championship.
Yeah, right now it's just kind of the big picture of let's try to get as many of us into the next couple of rounds as possible. And then teamwork kind of takes the back burner, but especially for those still involved in the playoffs. But right now, it's just trying to get us all to the next round and not wreck each other.
Well, Taylor, we certainly appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Go get them. Stay safe. Stay clean out there. And then maybe we'll be chit-chatting with you a little later on in Victory Lane.
I hope so. Good luck. Have fun up there.
That is the number 83 machine of Taylor Laskowski, part of the NTO4 racing team. We saw just a handful of laps ago, unfortunately getting turned around into the outside wall. And you hear him talking about his strategy moving forward. He's just trying to make sure he advances at this point. And he, as I said earlier, Paul, he is aware of his situational awareness. One driver didn't show up. Another one is 3 laps down. So essentially all he has to do right now is just beat 2 more cars, and he's looking pretty good. Now, he's towards the tail end of the lead lap. He does have a fresh car, should be good to contend here. It's just trying to manage these final 23 laps or so and make sure you can move on.
I was hoping you'd keep going for a few more sides. Still got a mouthful of Hunter's Ed jerky here. Have you tried this stuff yet?
I timed it perfectly.
I just picked up my bag. My bag came in last week, and I've been gnawing on it all week long. It's something like that moonshine barbecue. Got to check this stuff out. Big supporters of the league here at Liberty Racing League. Hunter's Edge Jerky, huntersedgejerky.com. Promo code thank you or thanks. It's right up there, 10% off at checkout. Great to have them on board. Good stuff, too. Good beef jerky. I am a jerky connoisseur, really like meat, and the bags are cool, too. They're little, like, vacuum-sealed air can things. They're kind of neat.
You jerk your jerky, Paul?
I ate my jerky, and it was delicious.
We'll roll with that, I guess. So here we go. We are getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. 23 laps to go. Michael Carpenter, Mike Mann, they are still your front row. James Meyer and Nick McClellan, row number 2. TJ Floyd and Wes Hogue, row number 3. Then Anthony English, Bobby Anderson. And then you have the 91 of Sean Colvin and the 42 machine, I believe that is, of Elliot Swope. We are going back to Green Flag Racing. Here we go. Underway once again at Daytona. A very strong restart for Michael Carpenter. He's able to clear Mark Mann with ease. James Meyer all over the back bumper in that beautifully painted number 95 Valvoline Ford Mustang. Those two will clear. TJ Floyd now side by side with Mark Mann for position number 3. How about Anthony English, Paul? We've seen him with some issues earlier on tonight. Got that car repaired, and he is still out here fighting, trying to be one of the spoilers, a non-playoff driver looking for the $25 in cash and that $10 bonus from Dr. Race Chaser for being a non-playoff winner.
You ready for this, Kyle? You ready for this? Like a phoenix out of the ashes. How about that?
Boy.
How about that? That's the sponsor plug of the year right there. 44 car up into the top 5. How about that?
I dig it. I dig it, Paul. We're pulling the juicy stuff out here as we're getting down towards the wire here at Daytona International Speedway. I am very impressed with how well that 5 machine of Michael Carpenter has been here in the second half of this race. He has stayed calm. He has stayed smooth. He is leading the field. Got some good help there from the Ford, the 95 of James Meyer. Mark Mann trying to reel that outside line back up. They've only got 5 cars, but remember that last green flag run. They were down to 4 cars at one point, and then it seemed like half the field jumped to the outside line, and they started making progress. So it seems like with these new drafting parameters that were installed on the iRacing service today, they are doing us good. They are able to race. They're able to push. These guys seem to be fairly comfortable for the most part. Should be an entertaining finish here as we are closing in on 20 laps to go.
Watching these drivers here in practice before we took the green flag earlier on this evening, that was one of the things I was really listening in on the driver chatter was these guys getting lined up in line, kind of race conditions almost during the practice section, and some of the guys up towards the front, all right, come up, push me. all right, come up, hit me. And it felt really good. A lot of drivers really able to control. You can see a beautiful textbook bump draft there on the 95, just really hitting them 3, 4, 5 times going down the back straightaway. You'll see here once they get into turn number 3, going to back off just a little bit to get some air in between those cars. The 95 going to kind of reset his line there, tuck right back into the tire tracks of the number 5 car. Check his rear view mirror about 263 times that last lap just to see where the driver in behind is running on the track. They're going to cross the stripe. They're going to do it again for 20 more times.
We are in the final quarter of this race. 60 laps are in, 20 laps left remaining. It is Michael Carpenter out in front, James Meyer second, and then we're side by side throughout the rest of the field from there. TJ Floyd, he is starting to struggle a little bit with the handling of that race car. He's bouncing off the apron off of the corner exit. Maybe he's just trying to see ahead of the drafting cars that he's got in front of him, just trying to make sure that he's got enough clear track and enough space to maneuver with here. But he's starting to move around a little bit. He'll be dealing with some handling issues that we mentioned as you currently ride on board with, I believe this is Jack Duval-Krull and the number 84 machine, one of our playoff drivers. He is right in the middle of the field in the bottom line, trying to work his way into the next round. He's been relatively quiet for most of the night tonight, Paul, but he's sticking around and doing exactly what he needs to do. He is in the lead draft. He's got an opportunity to make some more passes. Looking good. Still maybe needs to work on a little bit of assurance here. He's got a couple playoff cars behind him, but so far so good for that 84 Goldfish car.
Yeah, and that's a good goal to have for these playoff drivers, is pretty much just shoot for the top 10. If you get the top 10, you're in. We're taking 12 drivers into the playoffs. One of the drivers in the field here not able to, or in the playoffs, not in the field here tonight, Nathan Brown. So taking away 3 drivers from the end of this one. Still have an opportunity to race 4 wins throughout the rest of the season, but only taking the playoff drivers into that championship round of 4 coming up in a couple of weeks' time here on Verdane TV. And what better way to show that you've got momentum to take that regular series championship that Carpenter took there, come in, lead a bunch of races here once everything's been reset, and just essentially win yourself into the next round of the playoffs.
We typically aren't talking about winning your in tonight because each race is its own round, but you know for sure that if you do win, you are going to be in. The easiest way to make sure that you beat the contact in the back of the field. Jarrett Bolliard getting into it with another car. They kept it straight, and now Michael Carpenter is down onto the apron. These guys starting to wiggle and wobble across this racetrack. Everybody keeps it clean and green, but maybe this is going to break up the lead pack a little bit. This is not what these guys want to see so late in this race. You want to stay packed up. You want to stay calm. The jitters might be getting to them a little bit here, Paul. It's getting down to crunch time.
And as these drivers hear that the laps are starting to trickle down, 17 to go here at Daytona, you want to find your drafting partner, your dancing partner, your teammate, or the guy you were practicing with that felt kind of good. You want to see where they're at on track and try and get hooked up with them and get up to the lead. So we're going to start to see a lot of kind of jockeying for position. We might start to see some drivers try to come down and short pit and get these fuel tanks filled up as quickly as they possibly can. I don't think they can make it to the end here, but we'll definitely see. Fuel definitely going to be a concern with 16 laps to go.
Without a doubt, we've seen some caution flags within the recent laps, so these guys have had an opportunity to pit for fuel, save a little bit, and make it the rest of the way if they have the mileage to do so. A lot of things to keep in mind here. The intensity of the racing, the fuel, the playoffs, the elimination, so much that these guys have to manage. I don't understand why there are race fans out there that think this is so easy, just apparently holding the wheel to the left and keeping the pedal matted down to the floor. This is such a strategic style of racing. There are so many things going off in your head. Yeah, it may not be as physical as a racetrack like Bristol or Darlington, but it is a totally different style of skill set. It is very difficult to be successful on these super speedways, and especially with all the pressure that these playoffs bring, these guys are in for it. They are working hard. They are doing everything in their abilities to find success here and advance to the next round of the playoffs.
Lots of different decisions these drivers have to make each and every lap as they make turns around this track. 80 laps on the docket, down to 15 to go, and you can see that bottom side of the racetrack nice and tight. Everybody bumper to bumper to bumper pretty much throughout. 10, 12 cars back. That high side starting to gain just a little bit of momentum. You can see Foskey and Bollier trying to catch back up to the end of that high line to try and get a little bit more forward momentum going on in there. And with these drivers really practicing the bump drafting and the pushing and the shoving in practice, I think this is about when we're going to start seeing these guys break that out just a little bit. I think we're going to start seeing maybe two guys get hooked up and really start to press the issue with the bump drafting as we get closer and closer to the end of this one.
Well, we saw that earlier in the race. Rick Seabrands and Mark Mann worked together tremendously well going down the backstretch one lap and cleared the inside line to move down and take over control. So we know that pushing works with these cars. You still got to be careful. You never want to bump draft in the corners. But I think those two showed us that if you can get connected and work well enough with each other, you can make some progress pushing hard. James Meyer's been doing a good job pushing as well. We've seen him pretty aggressive on the back bumper of Michael Carpenter. Hasn't done anything to skew that number 5 car out of line. He's kind of been a little bit more relaxed now that those guys have lost the race lead, but he's still a player in this race. One of the non-playoff drivers looking for that extra bonus money if he can go to victory lane, and do not count out Anthony English just yet. Back there in position number 5, he's been through hell and back tonight, still has an opportunity to fight for this win. It's going to be really fun to see if maybe those two non-playoff guys try to work together and go against the playoff guys. Though they know that they have nothing to lose, it's the playoff guys that have more to lose, so they don't necessarily have to win this race. Those guys are going to do everything that they can to get to victory lane.
Mark Mann still holding on to the lead. The 5-car Carpenter right in behind him. The 95 still up in there. That's the top 3 as they run right now. And you can see kind of single file for all the way back to TJ Floyd there in the 49 car. And that's when that high line is starting to get itself put back together. You can see those back 2 cars starting to close up, and they're right now back onto the back bumper. You can see Lasowski going to rejoin this front group as well. I believe that's Lasowski in the 83 car back there. Indeed it is. So you'll see they're going to start to try and really push. You can see the 38 car getting all over the back bumper of the 12 car. The fellow playoff driver Nick McClelland in that machine leading that top side, and a couple of drivers down the bottom side see that, so they're going to start pushing a little bit harder, crossing the stripe. 11 laps to go. Car in the outside wall. The 02 car of Collier, hard hit.
Caution flag flies with 11 laps to go, and another playoff driver is involved. It's the 02 of Rob Collier. One of the series' most successful drivers is in trouble late in this race. He collects the 82 machine of Matt Swope. So 2 playoff drivers in trouble. We're taking a look here at the YRD Designs instant replay coming through the trioval. You see Swope on the outside lane, Collier down on the bottom. Swope was following in one of his teammates, and it looks like he just moves down just ever so slightly, catches the right rear of Rob Collier, and puts both of them into the outside wall. Looks like incidental contact. I don't know if maybe he was trying to side draft, if he was trying to fit in line behind the 02, but there was contact, and those 2 cars go into the outside wall with a pretty significant impact. That is not the first time that we have seen Matt Swope involved in contact tonight, so that could be an issue for him. I don't think Rob Collier has been involved in anything, so maybe he still has a fast repair to use, but either way, closing in on the final 10 laps of this race, this is not the time that you want to have issues on the racetrack.
Yeah, and at this point, playoff drivers peppered all the way throughout the field. Mark Mann, Michael Carpenter, 1 and 2. TJ Floyd running in 4th. 6th and 7th, Bobby Anderson, Nick McClelland, Leon Keniston, Wesley Hogue in 8th and 9th. Back to 12th for Jason Foskey. Jarrett Bolliard 14th, Jax Duval 15th, Lasowski 16th, West 17th. And then you got to get a little bit further on back. Collier involved in that one back in 21st. Matt Swope down on pit road. He's in 22nd right now. Rick Seabrands multiple laps down in that 4 car back in 25th. So a lot of different strategies going on with this one. You've got an opportunity to maybe come down pit road, get just a little bit more fuel, maybe get some new tires, throw on this one to try and get any advantage that you possibly can to get up towards the front. We've heard a lot of these drivers talk about survival. You see TJ Floyd going to give up the top 5 position to come down. Nick McClellan going to come down as well. Donovan Jarrell. So pretty much split 50-50 it looks like. But you got to have that momentum. A lot of drivers talking about survival want to make sure that they survive into the next round. But you want to get into that fighting spirit. You want to make sure that you're ready to rock and roll as these playoff races go by, because the more races that go by, the more drivers we knock out, and we got to make sure that you were in the top 4 for that final race.
Quick update on the playoff picture. I feel fairly confident in saying this now, seeing that he has retired from the event. It appears that the number 4 machine of Rick Seabrands is going to be one of the 4 drivers eliminated from the playoffs here tonight. He has disconnected from the server and is going to record a 25th place finish. He is the lowest playoff driver amongst those that have entered this race tonight. I know that he was up front and led at least a lap, but I don't think that is going to do enough to advance him on. So that is really, really tough for Rick Paul. I believe within this last month, he went back-to-back with victories and also claimed the Dr. Race Chaser Hard Charger Award in both of those races. So you knew that he had to be coming in here with a lot of momentum. He was looking good, working well early on with Mark Mann. Just caught up in a couple incidents there. Undoing to him, and unfortunately it appears that his run for the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Championship belt is going to come to an end here tonight. So that's 2. We know Nathan Brown, he's out because he didn't come to play. Rick Seabrands is out of this race early. He is probably going to be elimination number 2. So now we have what? That makes 13 cars trying to lock themselves in to the remaining 12 positions. And we have less than 10 laps to go. It's a late race restart. I don't know if you've got belts over in that office of yours, Paul, but if you do, you might want to reach up there and pull them tight like old Larry Mack says, because this is going to get pretty wild.
Yeah, make sure everything is tied down on the desk here. All the wireless controllers and keyboards and mouses are tied down as well. This is going to be insane. We're taking the top 12 in the playoffs in the round of 16. We've already know 2 of those drivers, like you made an allude to here. 2 of those drivers we already know not going to make it to the next round of the playoffs. And just looking right now, everybody in the remaining drivers still in the playoffs, they're all on the lead lap. This is a super speedway race. Kyle, how many times have we watched here on Verdane TV? How many times have you and I experienced in a super speedway race something that happens on the last lap with 2 to go, 3 to go, that just completely annihilates the finish of the race, and everything goes topsy-turvy, and the guys that were leading the race all the way in the back, someone we haven't talked about all evening long, could come up and win this thing. Anything can happen with these great big super speedway races.
You're absolutely right. And that's what makes them so fun to watch, is that you never know what is going to happen, and you never know when it is going to happen. Would you like an example? How about 4th and 5th place? We've already made mention that Anthony English was involved in some incidents, but how about that 18 car of Bobby Anderson? It wasn't too long ago we were talking about the driver that was 5 laps down in last place, wiping Bobby Anderson out as a playoff driver, stuck a lap down off the lead draft. Now, with 7 laps to go, he's in 5th place. He's on the lead lap. The car is fixed. He has just as good of a shot as anybody else to lock his way into the round of 12. So anything that can happen, probably will happen. Pace truck to pit road. 7 laps to go. Who advances? Who goes home? We're about to find out. Green flag is back in the air at Daytona.
Barney in the flag stand says go, go, go. Could potentially be the final restart of the evening, but we both know could potentially be multiple cautions here. Cautions breed cautions here in the racing world. Look at the push from the 95 all over the back bumper of the Batman in the 04 car leading this race, but you don't want to get too far ahead. We got 2 lines really well put together there, and these guys are hungry. They want to get up towards the front. They want to win this race.
Absolutely shoving Mark Mann down the back straightaway is James Meyer in the 95. He has been a great pusher all night long, and he's trying to do what he can to help Mark Mann advance into the playoffs. Or maybe is he just trying to separate himself from the field so he can make it? Oh, we nearly turned him coming off of turn number 4. That got close. Anthony English closes back up. 6 laps to go as they race underneath the stripe. Everybody up to full song. Don Ashton going to hit pit road. That'll eliminate his opportunity to win this one. McClellan unless we see the caution flag fly again. Michael Carpenter trying to do what he can on that outside line. He's been fast all night tonight, just doesn't quite have the momentum yet. He's got a lot of help up there, but they are not working their way up through the field. Look out, the 42 is sideways down the backstretch.
Everybody holding on to it. Couple of drivers going down below the double yellow. They get it all sorted out, but then they get it all sorted out into 3 wide towards the back of the pack, beating and banging and bumpering and dooring and slamming. Big time racing here. High five. Oh, caution flag. Caution.
One playoff driver involved. It's the 12 of Nick McClellan as well as the 7 of Frederick Durstock. So late race drama for Nick McClellan, a playoff contender. We saw him up at the front of the field, and I think he's having issues turning that car, Paul. You saw it right before the wall hit it. The left front of that machine is broken on the number 12 Toyota Camry. He cannot move. This is not good for his hopes. He is going to have to take the tow. Nick McClellan towing to pit road with 5 laps to go. Did his playoff championship hope just go up in smoke?
Definitely looks to be the case for that 12 car. Big time contact, and you saw that car so broken, not able to steer. Had to call for the quick repair, or had to call for that tow truck. Man, just bouncing in between those 2 Warrior cars, tries to hold on to it, and hard contact up on the outside wall. That is not good if you are a fan of the 12 car, because that's going to really affect the outcome of that 12 car race.
And even though he was on the apron close to pit entry, I would assume that is still going to be a lengthy tow back to pit road. So we will keep an eye on him for sure, but things not looking good for Nick McClellan. The only playoff driver that is behind him on the leaderboard right now is Rick Seabrands, who is out of this race. So if he falls off of the lead lap and cannot get rocking and rolling here soon, he may be one of the 4 eliminated from this playoff championship contention, and that is such a heartbreaker because we saw Nick up at the front of the field. He was racing for the lead not too long ago. I don't really know how he got to the back of the field right there, but just an absolutely gut-wrenching incident here that may eliminate him from championship eligibility.
Yeah, you can see the field already going by, 1 lap down so far for the 12 cars. So that's going to be tough to make up here with 4 to go. Going to get the restart probably with about 2 laps to go here at Daytona. Up front, Mark Mann, championship contender, leading this one. James Mayer up 20 spots from where he qualified. Biggest mover here so far of the race, the 44 car of Anthony English. He's up 17 spots. Check that from where he qualified. Bobby Anderson still up in the top 5. Wes Hogue in the top 5 for the first time, I think, all night long. He qualified back in about 17th, 18th position and has worked his way up to 5th.
How about a little love to the 933 machine of Leon Keniston? He started this race in 13th. We saw him earlier after that lengthy opening run drop 1 lap down. He is now back into contention, running in position number 6 on the lead lap. He has an opportunity here to go to victory lane at Daytona. Michael Carpenter in position number 7. You got Jason Foskey in 8th, Elliott Swope in 9th, and Jax Duval-Krull in position number 10. I believe we would have to get the 1 to go this time by to avoid going to overtime. We'll have to see what happens with the iRacing pace truck here to be sure. But this is setting up to be crazy, Paul. I really don't know what to think. We've seen a lot of consistency up at the front of the field, but you have to think that James knows that there's extra money on the line. If he goes to victory lane, he's going to take an extra $10 out of my bank account and pocket it into his. He's really, well, no, I can't even say that. I was going to say he's the only one with that opportunity, but Anthony English is right there too. So that might be the most fun thing to watch, is how those 2 non-playoff drivers treat the end of this race, knowing that they are surrounded by playoff drivers, and that if they make a mistake, they could ruin their opportunity to advance on. So we did get the 1 to go. It will be a green-white checkered finish, but it's going to happen in regulation. So this is not an official overtime finish just yet. It will be a green-white checkered, but we are in regulation. Take a deep breath, Paul, because this is going to be the finish of a lifetime here. Playoff opportunity on the line, some extra money. Oh boy, I don't know how this is going to go.
Talk about races to watch throughout this one. As if the action wasn't enough, We already know there's 3 drivers that are pretty much eliminated. McClellan, Seabrins, and Brown already multiple laps down, not in the race, what have you. There's 5, 6 drivers still in the playoffs outside the top 12 from 12th on back. Hey, how do you get the championship? Ready, set, don't be last. That's going to be fun to watch towards the back. The race for the win. Who's going to win? Is it going to be a playoff driver? Are you going to be paying somebody else? Holy cow, we're going to have an exciting green-white checkered start attempt.
We'll give you the rundown. Mark Mann on the race lead. He will take the outside. James Mayer in second. He's going to drop down to the inside. Anthony English is third. Bobby Anderson fourth. And Wes Hogue completes your top 5. Leon Keniston sixth. Michael Carpenter seventh. Jason Foskey eighth. Elliott Swope in ninth. And Jax Duval-Krull completes your top 10. The pace truck will hit pit road. 2 laps of racing to go. Still in regulation. This is not overtime. How will this one end? Will it end under green flag? We're back to racing. A good start for Mark Mann. He's going to work with James Mayer. He gets down in front. Mayer going to get back on that back bumper, and that is not good for Bobby Anderson. He has no help on that outside lane.
Not good for the rest of the field. The 95 car has a bumper to push, and there you can see it breaking away 5, 6 car lengths over the pack. Mayer, a monster in that 95 car, beating up the back bumper of the 04 car of the Batmobile. You can see breaking away just a little bit, slicing and dicing throughout the field. Some drivers trying to move up to the high side, maybe get a little bit of momentum to the back bumper of the 18 car of Anderson, but do they have enough time to catch these top 2 drivers? Look how far away they are, Kyle.
It's like a blast from the past. The 2-car tandem is back, and James Mayer is pushing Mark Mann away from the field. They make it to the white flag. We will race to the checkered. Mark Mann, a playoff driver. Look at this push. I cannot believe how much space he has over the rest of the field. James Mayer is all over the back bumper, trying to push the Batman machine to victory lane, separating themselves from the field. The rest of the field is side by side behind. I think they might be starting to get a bit of a run. They're going to go 3 wide with Rob Collier onto the outside lane. Does he have any help? He doesn't. He's on an island of his own. Could that be the move that eliminates him? The field starting to catch back up as they race into turns 3 and 4. Mayer looking to the outside. Here comes Anthony English. Poking his nose at the outside is Wes Hogue. Does he have the momentum? I don't think he does. James Mayer pushing Batman to the win at Daytona. Mark Mann will strike first and gets the playoff opening victory here at Daytona International Speedway. A reliant partner in the 95 of James Mayer gets him to victory. He will advance. James Mayer finishes in second place. Anthony English in third. Wes Hogue, the second highest playoff driver, his 4th place will advance him to the next round of the playoffs, and your regular season champion Michael Carpenter matches his car number with his finish. He will finish 5th to move on to the round of 12 as well.
Big heartbreak for looks like Taylor Lasowski not going to make the field. They came into turn 3 and 4, 3 wide, 3 rows deep, and look at this. Keep an eye on the 20 car of Bolliard. Keep an eye on the 83 down low, trying to make the spot. That is the spot for the championship playoff. That'd be the race to get in. And we'll take a better look at the camera, as the camera is just awful there at that point. So we'll back it up one more time because I can do that. It's my show. Take a look at it once again. Bolliard down on the bottom side. That's the race to get into the playoffs. They wreck. They come down on the inside. Hard contact for the 83. But look at Bolliard in the 20 car. He bounces off the wall, crosses the line backwards, yelling out the sponsor on the hood. Yahoo! Jarrett Bolliard living another day to fight in that championship battle.
We knew that there was going to be late race dramatics, Paul. It's a super speedway. It's the playoffs, and it absolutely delivered. I cannot believe how big of a run James Mayer and Mark Mann got in the last run there. I mean, it ended up evaporating. They lost their advantage coming through 3 and 4, but just so impressed that the two of them were able to push themselves out as far as they did. And James did what he could to help Mark Mann go to victory lane. He played loyal. He was a good bump drafter the entire night with that 04 machine. Despite the extra money on the line, he didn't decide to go for it. He pushes Mark to victory lane. Incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible stuff. I would say Daytona delivered exactly the way we thought it would.
Yeah, 100% carrying on the excitement. It looks like you've caught up with that that victory lane driver down there, and Mark Mann racing his way. Let him know he's a contender for this championship.
Indeed, I have, Paul. Mark, congratulations. Winner here at Daytona International Speedway, the opening race of the playoffs. You know that you will race in the round of 12 next week, and your championship hopes stay alive. Man, take me through that green-white checkered finish. I just said to Paul, I am stunned that you and James separated yourselves from the field like that. Did you have any knowledge that that was going to work out as well as it did?
Well, you know, anytime Jim's behind me, I do. I just had 100% confidence in him. So, I mean, he's my teammate in you know, other series, and we've been racing together a long time. And on super speedways, he's a beast, man. And he probably could have won that anytime, him or Anthony or you.
Take me through this race as a whole. We know that today was build day for the iRacing world. New drafting parameters with these cup cars. We saw you guys moving around quite a bit throughout this race, but for the most part, it was fairly clean until it got to the end with aggression and, you know, that typical super speedway stuff. But as a whole, how do these cars drive for you guys tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that side draft is huge now. And I mean, it really takes the air out from under you. And, you know, if you got somebody pushing on you and somebody's in your quarter panel, it really gets you loose. That apron was very loose. That just touching that yellow line really got the car upset. So side draft, that new dynamic, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. But as the race as a whole, you know, early on, my teammate Rick got wrecked out there. I felt really bad. And, you know, I'm just disappointing that he's not going to come through the chase with me. And, you know, he's a guy who's won a lot of championships that I've watched and learned from. And, you know, so kind of bummed out about that, but also happy that, you know, Jim and Anthony are still here and David O, and having a good time, man. Happy to get the win. I mean, I did not expect to get the win in these cars at all. This was the one on the calendar that it was just check it for survival and try to finish in that top 12, then move on.
Of course, anybody's going to be happy to go to victory lane, but now that it is in the playoffs, you get the first playoff victory, you know that you will move on to the round of 12. What does this victory do for your confidence, and how do you feel like this betters your outlook to race for the championship next week?
Yeah, I don't know if the points carry over. I think he said that they did, but I'm not really sure. I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. No offense there, Wes, if you're listening. I mean, this helps. This is good momentum going into the next round, and you know, to have my teammates surrounding me, I think we got a good shot. You know, I don't necessarily need to win. I just want to keep moving on. I'd love to have a look at this championship. I saw that championship belt, and boy, I would love to have that thing on my mantle.
As somebody who's seen that belt in person, I can assure you, yes, you do. It's absolutely gorgeous. Mark, congratulations again on the victory. Anybody else that you would like to thank, the mic is yours to do so now.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank bshow.info. Thanks for the painting that they sent me. It went right into my art collection, so I appreciate that. And you guys for broadcasting. I look forward to watching this back. You know, there'll be some heartbreak in there, and there'll be some happiness. So it's like a bittersweet moment right now. You know, thanks to all my teammates that I raced with tonight, especially Jim and Anthony right there at the end, helping me out. And my friend Mara watching at home. Everybody watching, much appreciated. And Wes and all the league admins, everybody that does everything behind the scenes. Thank you so much.
He is your winner tonight at Daytona International Speedway. The first round of the playoffs is complete, and he will race for the champion, or continue to race for the championship next week. That is Mark Mann, winner tonight of the playoff opener for the Liberty Racing League Super Speedway Series at Daytona. Paul will send things over to you for the runner-up finish, the other man of the two-car tandem that went to victory lane.
Monster push from that 95 car. James Mayer, holy cow. Talk to us about those last 3 laps.
With Mark there, even you know, I was behind the 5 there. New draft package, so I wasn't sure how it would handle or what would happen there. But getting those 2 cars hooked up, they certainly took off. I was actually worried there, you know, coming that last lap that they were going to get a huge run back on us and we'd be sitting ducks. So yeah. The new draft package, like I said, something to watch out for is 2 cars getting hooked up like that, and you know, if they're side by side behind you, there's a chance you can pull away a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about that new draft package coming out today. iRacing coming out with a big update earlier on today, so not a lot of time for these drivers throughout the field to kind of practice here this evening. But always good to see teammates get it hooked up, get the communication right, and kind of try it throughout the night. Now, is that something that's going into the race you knew that you might have been able to pull out of the back pocket, or is that maybe something you picked up earlier on? Because we did see that 95 car, very very good pusher throughout the field here. No matter, it doesn't seem like it mattered who was up in front of you. Just a lot of speed in that 95 Mustang.
Yeah, these cars are different. Honestly, this is probably the car I have the least amount of time in, and especially with the draft package. I just downloaded it before the race here tonight, so next to no time in that, except for the few practice laps I ran. But yeah, when the guy in front of you holds a good line, the way Mark and Mike were there, and you get hooked up like that, those guys make it easy to push. So, shout out to them for holding a good line. And
solid race all night long, and definitely coming home with a solid finish. No championship belt on the line, but still going for a little money and some bragging rights with a couple races left to try and win left in the season. Got to give you an opportunity here to thank anybody that might be out there watching, friends, family, sponsors, neighbors, dogs, who's out there, who makes it happen for you.
Of course, the guys I race with, the lines, Mark, Anthony, Rick, David O. They keep it fun, and unfortunately, I missed a good bit of the season due to work, but happy to get Mark the win there. Of course, all the guys at bshow.info for all they do for the league, and Wes and all those guys behind the scenes, and of course, you guys up in the booth putting the show on.
And a little teammate celebration going on later on after we go off the air, so that's always cool too. James, great run here tonight. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
And Kyle, you've caught up with our third place driver, wrecked early on, lap or two down, like a phoenix out of the ashes. You've caught up with Anthony English.
That I have. Anthony, just if there was anything in this race that you didn't get through tonight, I don't know what it was, because you went through the absolute ringer. Multiple incidents, charged back through the field, put it all out on the line late in the race as a non-playoff guy, and you have a podium finish to settle for. Take us through your night. It was absolutely dramatic watching it up from the booth.
Oh, to be honest, it was definitely a roller coaster. I mean, the whole thought theory at the start of it was I didn't really care about getting a good lap qualifying. I just wanted to go out and get a lap or two, have not start at the front or the back, just mid start. I wanted to kind of just chill and, miss everything, but I ended up being in, I do believe, two of them, and it sucked. I ended up losing the car in the second one, so I was on my last car. But I was kind of just playing like a supporting role tonight. I was kind of here more rooting for, Mark or Rick. Try to help them in, trying to survive and help them get in. So we got down towards the end, it was just, it's just go time. A lot of positions opened up, moved up through there, and then was able to just help Jim and Mark secure that top spot for Mark.
Late in the going there, of course, you're a competitor. You want to try to win this race, but you're surrounded by playoff guys. What was it like trying to manage the desire to win for yourself, but also to make sure you didn't screw up anybody else's opportunity for next week?
Well, pretty much just mind my P's and Q's. Try to stay as clean as possible, run smart. Like at the end there, I wasn't really worried about making moves and trying to win it and wrecking the field, trying to do something crazy. I came to, support Mark and Rick and try to do the best I could to help them out. So I wasn't going to do anything dumb. I was literally just kind of riding there. I mean, if they would have wiped out, lanes would have changed, and it would have just like been me and Jim up there, I probably would have wrecked Jim for the win. But I would really wreck Jim for the win, though.
So next week, it appears that we will be headed off to Talladega with the 1987 Cup cars. Early thoughts on that car and track combination for the round of 12?
Thank God. Honestly, thank God. I absolutely despise these cars. So, just like Mark, I'm even surprised to be up here and even get a third, because I don't have a lot of seat time in these cars either. So it's just one of those deals. Kind of got a little bit lucky tonight, but I look forward to the 87s next week. They're fun. I like them. It'll be a nice battle. I'll try to do the same things, try to keep her as clean as possible, and then give her a hard charge at the end.
He may not have been a fan of these Cup cars tonight, but he made the most of it with a third place finish tonight. Anthony, who would you like to thank for the run?
I like start out by thanking I think it'd be bshow.info or something, and then you guys in the booth. You guys do a great job every week. My teammates who I was running with tonight, Rick, Mark, and David O, and everybody else that's out there watching, my family, friends, and my beautiful girlfriend.
That is the voice of third place finisher Anthony English tonight, from a junked race car to a podium spot at the end of it all. A driver that would not quit, and it worked to his benefit. An amazing run for Anthony English to finish in third place here tonight. Also see in the booth, we've got fourth place finisher Wes Hogue. Wes, I don't want to steal any of your thunder here, but I had to pull it up to be sure that I knew what was all going on here. I can see the 4 eliminated drivers through the point standings, but if you would like to share with the world for sure who we know it will not be racing for a championship, and anything else that you would like to add for this playoff opener, please feel free.
Hell, I didn't know I was fourth. That's the only time I saw the top 5 that whole race. Holy crap! Thanks for the insight there. Wow, I didn't know I was fourth. I'll take it. First of all, congratulations to Mark Mann. Once again, he pulled off a great strategy. I'm really getting sick of seeing those guys pull off these strategies. There at the green-white checkered, him and his teammate pulled off a big enough lead to go into turn 4, where Anthony English and myself really couldn't get that run on him. Back behind me, I had Michael Carpenter, the regular season champion. We just couldn't get hooked up, and that was actually pretty cool to watch. It's frustrating at the same time. I spent my entire race with 24 seconds of damage over and over again, either if I was getting packed from the rear during an ARCA break, or just calamity there in the rear. But these cars are tanks. Never used my fast repair. Still had a right side tires that were left, which was crazy. And then that crazy ending, watching that in my mirror. Tough break there for Matt Swope. But this is as it follows. So as you guys know, you can look at the bracket and see the top 16 that was in, and we have 4 drivers that were eliminated. And those 4 drivers was Nathan Brown, who did not make the field. He was MIA, unfortunately. Rick Seabrands, who was in a devastating, not 1, but 2 accidents in that race. Really tough break for him. Matt Swope, unfortunately, there in that last lap. He had it by basically he wiped out 2 of his competitors, and then doing so, he also wiped out himself, which it looks like it has eliminated him from contention, as well as Nick McClellan, who was up front most of that race, as you all saw. But unfortunately, there at the end, just could not get it done. So that means your top 12 will be tonight's winner, Mark Mann, regular season champion, Michael Carpenter, myself, Bobby Anderson, who has been silent but deadly, Jason Foskey, Jax Duval-Crawl, Leon Kennison, Rob Collier, TJ Floyd, Kevin West by the skin of his teeth, as well as Jarrett Bolliard, and the common denominator, Taylor Liskowski. So that is your top 12 going into this. And man, I don't know how it looked to you guys there, but I know to us on the track that was pretty nerve-wracking, that last 20 laps or so.
Oh, without a doubt. And you look at the gap here. Taylor Liskowski advances by just 2 points over Nick McClellan. And that's the type of drama that we knew was going to happen with this system. Every race is an elimination. Every race is a reset and a fresh start. 1 round settled by 2 points. It would not surprise me at all if we see that happen again next week.
Not at all, and I'll tell you what, it's very nerve-wracking, not only physically but mentally, because the entire time, you're looking on your relevant or your standings, and you're looking to see where are the drivers that you are racing, and you're nonstop looking at that, especially coming there to the end. And there's certain points where I wasn't in it, and I was, when I lost the draft at that one point, I was pretty frustrated. The caution didn't come out when I thought it would, but we've stuck to our guns all season long, not throwing any cautions, manual caution. So that came to the break, but this is very cutthroat. We all start at the same points. It all comes down to trying to lead a lap, the most laps, getting those bonus points, and finishing ahead of your competitors, and then fighting through the guys like Mayer in the 95 that had nothing to lose. Anthony English wasn't in the playoffs. He had nothing to lose, out there racing for wins. And that's what I told the guys in the drivers meeting. Just because you're not in this playoff race, I still want everybody to go out there and win. And we saw that. I'm happy about that. We didn't have too much drama. I don't think it's possible to go zero drama in an iRacing race. But not, I mean, I'm happy with the outcome there. Again, congratulations to Mark Mann, and looking forward to the 1987s in Talladega.
So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Anthony, and the fun with asking you is that we can get both the league admin side and the driver side. Expectations and thoughts going into that race. You obviously are still racing for this championship. You have a full allotment of teammates that are still in it with you. How do you approach this deal next week?
So obviously, there's 4 less drivers that you have to beat, but that means there is less room for error. I love the 1987 cars. I absolutely love them. We've put on a hell of a show every time we've driven them. We go into it expecting a wreck fest because they are a handful, but we usually get the opposite, and I'm hoping the same. As a league admin, I hope we see a lot of what we saw tonight. Clean racing, a lot of give and take, a lot of respect was shown tonight in a car that is difficult to get out and pass. We saw a lot of respect. I'm hoping to see the same thing, but I'm hoping to see these guys again give it their all. At the end of the day, we jump on here to break from reality for an hour and a half from our everyday lives, and we get succumbed into this simulator. And I just hope everybody is having fun. I hope everybody is enjoying this, and they treat next week like they would week 2. They go into it competitive with respect, and at the same time, you still know that there's guys around you with a lot on the line. But with that being said, on the admin side of it, I hope we see the exact same thing we saw tonight. Just as much respect, if not more.
Well, it was certainly a fun one to watch up here from the booth. It definitely set the tone very quickly for what we are going to see throughout the remainder of this playoff. And I hope it just continues to ratchet itself up. And I don't see how it can't. It's going to get harder and harder to advance, and it's going to get more dramatic. It's going to be a total blast to watch. You guys did a wonderful job all night long. Paul, anything that you would like to add before we wrap this deal up? Just overall, very entertained with the way that this one turned out. And like I mentioned earlier, 2 points is the deciding factor for who races for a championship next week and who doesn't.
Yeah, and it's been a blast to follow along here on Tuesday nights throughout the entire season, and really looking forward to championship season here. Just a couple of races left in the Liberty Racing League to see who's going to come home with that championship belt. Tomorrow night, another group that's still racing towards their championship. 2 races to go with the RBR Maritime group. They're at Langley with the Super Late Models tomorrow night here on Bedane TV. And then Thursday night, we are right back to my home track, Stafford Motor Speedway, with the NEP drivers running the Xfinity cars. That's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch that. But that's going to wrap things up here for us tonight at Bedane TV. Thank you so much for tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. Give us a like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Head on over to Bedane.net, grab yourself a t-shirt, head on over to Bedane.tv, and take a look at what we're working on. We'll catch you on the flip side, and when we do, we will be doing it live.